the previous video, we explored how to add data to a map, and we explored the left toolbar. This video, we're going to further explore ArcGIS, our map viewer, by adding one more data layer and then configuring our data layers so that they look the way that we want. So here we have our four data layers on the map looking at Lewis and Clark, but I want to add one additional layer that I missed the first time, and that is the United States in 1800, because I want to also show what the U.S. looked like at the time of the Lewis and Clark expedition. So we can see the states and their shapes were added to the map. And I'm going to just zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing. So now that I've added that data layer, I'm going to take a little time to clean up this legend, because again, our legend shouldn't have underscores in it like you see there. There should be spaces between words. These are just file names. This is how we name things when we created our data. And you'll find that there's reasons why there's no spaces and there's underscores there when we create data. But then when we go to work with that data within our map viewer, we have to clean it up. So I'm going to come here and do that for each one. And I'm going to go to rename. And then I'm just going to call this US in 1800. Get rid of or add a space in between Louisiana and Purchase. Add spaces here. And actually, I'm just going to get rid of Lewis and Clark because there's no need to have that there because that's in our title. So I'm just going to put key sites and then name this route and then name this key passes. But and when you begin your map building, cleaning up the legend like this is one of the things that you should be always doing. Now let's explore the geometry of the data layers that we have in here. Some of these are points, some of these are lines, and some of these are polygons. The polygons are the Louisiana Purchase in the U.S. in 1800. The line is the route, and then the points are the key passes and key sites. So I tend to put the points at the top, the lines in the middle, and then the polygons at the bottom. And I do this because, and while it's not demonstrated here because of the symbology that's showing, if you have, say, the Louisiana Purchase on top of the key passes, and this wasn't this hash thing, if it was just a solid color, you won't see those key passes. So if you're not seeing some data, it's because you have to reorder your layers. And again, you just grab these little lines or these little dots over here, and it allows you to move them as you want. So now that we have our data named the way that we want, let's go explore the left toolbar. So if we come over here to properties, we can look at the properties of our data layers. But one thing to notice over here, you see this blue line here? That means that this particular data layer is selected. So I can go to this one and that one, and notice how this all changes depending on what layer I'm clicked on. So the layer that you're working on is the one that has that blue line, the one that is selected. So if we want to look at the properties for any of these, we just go to properties, and then it would show that for us. If we want to change the symbology of the key sites, we just click on Edit Layer Style, and then we pick a style. And because this is just a single symbol, we come here and we shop around for the symbology that we want. And you're going to see that there's different categories of symbols. There's basic shape, firefly, which are what these symbols are. I love firefly symbology, so I use it a lot. And you can see how you can change the size, the rotation, and so forth. So this is where you symbolize your data. And I'm going to keep the key passes and the sites the same symbology. I'm going to change the route to something different. So again, I just clicked on it, and you can see that it comes up here. And I'm going to change that to black. And I'm going to probably make that just a little bit wider. I'm going to pump that up to, that's a little too wide. I'll just take it to a 2, which, oops, not 18, 2. There we go. And then you can change like the pattern, like if you want an arrow. And this might be appropriate for some of the Lewis and Clark, because this is showing both eastward and westward. Or you can change it to a pattern, like if you wanted something that was slashed like that, or dashed, you could select that. But I'm going to keep it solid for now, just for the sake of demonstration. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. And then I already have the US in 1800 looking the way that I want. I want them to be hollow because I want it to be just the outlines of the states, and so that you can see through to the base map. So I'm going to stick with that. And then the Louisiana Purchase I'm going to change because I decided I don't really like this symbology. I'm going to get rid of the, I'm going to go back to this and change that to a greenish color. I don't know why I think Louisiana is green, but in my head it is. So probably not the best choice. Actually, let's do gray. That seems like it was a better choice. Just something so that you can see that it's distinct on the map, that you can, it sets it apart. So there we have the Louisiana Purchase symbolized. So now that we have all that done, we hit done and done again. And you can see that we have a basic map showing the Lewis and Clark. Now let's go down some of these to some of these other options. And I'm going to skip filter, effects, and aggregation. And we'll do that in the next week when we talk about visualization and cartography. These are really helpful tools to enhance the look of your map, but we're not going to worry too much about that this week. We'll worry about that when we really get into making attractive maps. Then we have pop-ups, and pop-ups are really how the user interacts with the data. So like if I click on any point on here or any of these, this is showing us the key sites along the way. And you can see this, it looks kind of a mess, doesn't it? And you click on the Louisiana Purchase, same thing. You click on the states, same thing. So we had to clean these up. And the first thing that we have to clean up are the titles. By default, it's going to always put the layer name, the default, the actual layer name that you added it from, and then it'll pick what it thinks is, it usually picks something with the word name in it because it assumes that's kind of what you want, but we don't want any of that. So we're just going to come in here and remove that and just call this name. And then on the fields list, we can decide what we want to keep and what we don't. And we're also going to determine, and that's the long pop-up, we're also going to determine what should be here and what shouldn't be here. To me, none of this stuff is really overly important. We can put keep the area there, and or we can keep that, but like it's already redundant. So I'm going to come here and actually just delete my fields list because I don't think any of it is all that necessary. I think it's just necessary to be able to identify what this is. And then when I want to configure another data layer, just click on that and it changes to that one. And here again, I'm going to get rid of that. And notice it's just the name. And now I determine what I want to keep here. And I'll, to see the fields, you come here and you can just X off of them to remove them from the pop-up, like I'm doing here. And I'm going to, again, really kind of get rid of everything. I'll keep the abbreviation just so that we keep something. And the one thing that I'm going to do is that this may not mean anything to anybody else. So if you come to the fields, you can change the way that looks in the pop-up. So if I come here and type in abbreviation, and then hit done, notice how that change takes place. And I do this for all of my fields. I rename all of them because I want it to be, first of all, clear to my map audience. Second, I hate all caps. I get rid of all caps whenever I can in the field name so that it makes it more readable for my audience. So now that I have that one configured, I can just keep going up and configure my pop-ups as needed. And I'm not going to do that because you saw me do a couple of them, so you get the idea of how we do that. But that's where the pop-ups and fields are really two important areas to be wise to, because as soon as you add your data, rename it, then symbolize it, the next thing to do is look at the pop-ups, because pop-ups are the main way that the user interacts with the map, and you want those pop-ups to be giving clear information about the features that you see on the map. And then I'm just going to kind of go down the side here. We can label if we wish. Like, for example, let's say that we wanted to label the states, which frankly, again, I probably wouldn't do, but I'll do it anyway, just for the sake of demonstration. And then you pick which field that you want here, and the name of there we go. And then you can set the visible range, like so they appear or disappear depending on how zoomed in you are. You can edit the label style. This is where we make them smaller, bigger, larger, and I'm going to make them a little smaller. And that's one thing about labels. Don't make them smack somebody in the face. They don't have to be that big. They just have to be there for reference. And I tend to like to make them small. And then I also like to kind of make them a grayish color, not that light gray, but like a gray. So again, that they're subtle enough, but for to be seen, and they're there, but something that's not where your eye goes to immediately. They're supplemental information, not the main focus of the map. So you can do labeling here should you wish. Continuing to go down, we can be adding charts to things. Later, when we get into data creation and editing, we're going to learn how to edit features, meaning we can add, delete, edit the attributes for them. Analysis is where it's all at. This is where we do spatial analysis. This is where we can do lots of different things, and this will be a lot of fun. But these are all the tools that are available. There's a ton, and you're going to find that analysis is really a lot of fun. And this is where you become very dangerous, is when you get to the analysis tools. And then again, edit, add sketch, and then map tools. So really, I'm going to be really blunt. The ones that you really need to know to be dangerous for the first couple of weeks are layers, base maps, the legend, how to save, and we save often. Whenever you see that blue dot, it means that there's a change that hasn't been saved. And then the share map is important because that's where you grab the link for things. And then over here, styles, pop-ups, and fields are the most important. So if you have those down, you're doing fantastically. So one last thing that I'll mention before I leave you, with maps, we also don't always want to present them this way, because this isn't the best way to present a map. That's why we take them to create an app where we can push those out to a story map or an instant app. And next week, we're going to be working with the instant apps, and you're actually going to be introduced to them in one of the exercises this week. But this is kind of like the shell for a map. It's kind of like how to make it look polished. And a really easy and popular one for just showcasing a map is the basic media map. So you just click create map, and then it takes you to a configure template here, where you configure what you want your map to look like. So you essentially just go down these steps to create your app. So this is the map that I want, so I'm going to hit next. It's asking me if you want a legend, and yes, we do. We want a header as well with the name of the title of the map. We can put alternative text text alternative for the map. We can have a shortcuts menu if we wish, or we can even have a splash screen should we wish. Now, I'm not going to do a splash screen, but like if you did do a splash screen, this is where you would enter the text for your splash screen. So isn't that kind of cool that you can do that? So then you hit next, and then this is where you enable the tools of that you want. So I like having the sharing, because of course we want people to share our maps because everybody needs to see them. The ability to export, the ability to search so that you can just type in an address or what have you, and then a search open at start. I don't do that, and this is telling us how the search will find location. This is by using the old geocoding service. You don't have to mess with that, but notice how it added the tools. Here's your export to PDF, here's your search, and here is your legend. If you click the legend, you can see that you have your legend there. So then we hit next, and you can decide what mode you like. I always pick dark mode, and then you can move these around. Like notice where your tools are. Maybe you want them all at different places. You can move them to where you want them to be. So I want to search over. Or you just want to change the order. I've just changed the order. You can do that with these. You just grab and it moves them for you, just like I did there. And then you hit next. And language switcher, I would just, I'm going to I'll put it on. Actually, keep it off. Keep that off, and then you hit publish, and it says, "Are you sure?" Yep, we're sure. And now it says our changes have been published. And now there's two things that we're faced with here. Right now, this, if we copy the URL and you sent me that URL, it's only shared at the owner level. You had to change that to the everyone level. And then if you want to get the web link for it, then you just go back to share, copy the link. And if I go to an incognito browser here to look at what it looks like, this would be what my final product would look like. So you can see that the basic instant app is exactly what it says. It's pretty basic. It just has a nice little shell for it here. And there we have our map. So that's a very quick preview of how to use Map Viewer. This week, you're going to be practicing using Map Viewer by going through a couple of exercises. And again, we'll be continuing on next week and going even deeper into Map Viewer. But what I said a couple minutes ago about what tools to kind of master, those are the ones to really focus on. So good luck with this week's assignment, and let me know if you have any questions.